Welcome to our final series for the Teens, Tools, and Hope Parent and Educator series. My name's Judy Julin. I'm CEO of WOW Learning Lab, and I'm thrilled tonight. WOW Learning Lab is hosting a very, very, very special of teens and their moderator, Lainey Liberty. We're going to share some experiences and reflections, tools, and insights related to living in today's world. The main themes will include parents, friends, school, really whatever comes up, social, emotional, spiritual aspects, technology, and personal freedom. And it's led by Lainey, who's an incredible transformational coach, world schooling specialist, and best-selling author of Seen, Heard, and Understood. I'm so honored to have both Lainey and her teens here today. Take it away, Miss Lainey.
I was just going to say something really quick.
Oh, please
Sorry
do.
not to interrupt, but in the chat is information about Lainey. She's got such amazing programs. She even has weekly meetings with teens online for meetups, virtual meetups. And then she also has the World School. I always do flip it around, Project World School. And she's taken teens around the world. And the one coming up is going to be in Thailand in November, starting November 1st. I think it's for how many days, Lainey?
I think that one is 21 days, and then we're coming back to Mexico in March of next year. So yeah, lots of stuff.
Okay, yeah. Hey,
Nice to
Jackson,
see you, Jackson.
welcome. We're just doing the introduction, so.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So honored that you asked me to be a moderator, but the stars of this conversation are going to be the young people, the teens, and I'm so excited to be here to moderate that. And there's many teens here that I don't know, so that really lights me up because I get to know them too. Sophie also came from working with me. Sophie's traveled with me, and I've been friends with Sophie for how long now? 2 years? 2 years, more or less?
Yeah, I'd say about 2 years.
About 2 years. All right, guys. So why don't we do just a super quick intro, and I'll start. And here I'm going to put into the chat how we're going to introduce ourselves. So it's going to be name, where in the world you are, age, if you want to share that. It's not necessary, but you can say I'm withholding my age, and that's totally fine. And everything that we're going to talk about is consensual. So by all means, if there's a question or something you don't want to answer, please don't answer. So there's no questions asked. So name, where in the world you are, your age, and just to break the ice, let's do our favorite dessert, and that's just an icebreaker. So I'll start. Lainey, I'm in Mexico, and my age is 56, which still blows me. Gunk, gunk. And my favorite dessert, luckily I'm in the right country for that, is flan. I love flan. And if I go to France, I even like creme brulee, which is a version of it. So I'm going to go ahead and pass over the torch to whomever wants to jump in next. And yeah, we'll just go ahead.
I guess I'll go. Hi, my name is Sophie. I'm 16, and right now I'm in New York City. And my favorite dessert is probably lemon meringue pie.
That's definitely a good one.
Awesome. I guess I'll go next.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Ava. I'm 14 right now. I'm in Texas, and I'd say that my favorite dessert is probably just simple coffee ice cream.
What did you say? Simple what?
Coffee ice cream.
Oh, that's so good. You're my kind of person.
I can go next.
Awesome.
My name is Jackson. I'm in Northern California. I am 15, and my favorite dessert is, I'm going to go with Oreos.
Nice.
Cool.
All right, I'll go next. Hi, my name is Jasmine. I'm from Southern California. I'm 18 years old, and my favorite dessert is mango sticky rice. I just like love anything with coconut, to be honest. But yeah, mango sticky rice.
Oh, so good. And that is in Thailand. You can get that
I know.
quite easily. In Thailand. It's so good. And is Koi a teen? I'm sorry.
Yeah, yes, he is a teen.
Hi, Koi.
Hi. Hi. My name's Koi. I'm in California. I'm 16 and my favorite dessert is probably like boba, like milk tea. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I just got a message. We have another teen joining us. Sophie, you're going to know this person from our trip in March. So for those that are hosting, just be aware that there might be another teen joining in just a moment. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So one of the things, I've been working with teens for more than 10 years. And one of the things that really just got on my nerves when I was a teen myself was people did not ask me what my thoughts or beliefs or opinions were about life. And I think there's a lot of instances where teens, their opinions aren't really recognized or honored. And I'm going to ask you guys right off the bat a crazy question. There's no right or wrong answer. And Sophie comes to my call. She's aware that I pop these things on you all the time. So here's my question. You guys could pop in and we're going to start really big. So guys, in your opinion, what is the meaning of life? Did I stump everybody? Oh, and by the way, Garrett's here. Garrett, if you want to, you don't have to turn your camera on if you don't want, but you may not have seen the question, but you can go ahead and answer the introduction question, which is name, where in the world you are, and well, icebreaker, what is your favorite dessert?
Where in the world am I? I'm in Georgia, in America.
Okay.
Age, I am 18. And favorite dessert, I guess just ice cream.
Which flavor? Because we have a coffee ice cream lover here.
I like cookies and cream.
Oh, that's a good one. All right. And I don't know if you heard my last question. So guys, there's no right or wrong, but I'm going to ask you to dig inside and poke around and see what rings true for you, because what your perception is and what your thoughts and idea, if you have thought of this before, it's great. If you haven't thought of it, take a moment and think about it. And guess what? We know that people can change their ideas, but sometimes it helps just to speak your truth. And what do you think the meaning of life is? Why are we here? Yeah, go for it, Sophie.
For me, the meaning of life is probably something to enjoy and to experience, because so far, for all I know, you only have one life and you just want to do things. You want to meet up, you want to travel, you want to learn, you want to socialize and find your passion, really. So I guess it's something to just think about, and it's full of surprises.
And does that keep you connected to your own life? Does it keep you inspired?
I'd say, yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So pop in Jackson. Wait, did I say your name right?
Jackson, yeah. The E is supposed to have a space. My last name starts with E.
Got it.
Anyways, for my perception, I'd say the meaning of life is sort of to fulfill yourself so that towards the end of your life, you can look back and feel accomplished with what you've done with yourself.
Right. Oh, I love that. I love that. And are you making steps in your life to make it meaningful?
I hope so.
Okay. Awesome. Cool.
I have a little bit of a different type of answer, but it's kind of in the same category, right? I guess my definition of the meaning of life would kind of just be to set the path forward for your children or for other people to build off of what you set in your life, right? Even if you can't fully achieve that, that's what you should strive for, I think.
So how does that look in your life, specifically, Ava?
I guess I don't know that I have a specific answer. I guess that I try to be something that people can look up to, and or at the very least something that people can see and improve on as a person, like as a like way of interacting with other people and the world that you live in.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that. Cool, cool, cool. All right. And I know that Jasmine's got some insight.
I kind of had to think about it, but I really feel like life to me is something that is like self-made, but also just existing, because I feel like there's always this question that also follows with life, like, what is my purpose? But I always thought to myself, well, you kind of make your own purpose. So I always think it's really about not finding your purpose, it's making your purpose. You are your purpose. That's what I feel. And I forgot what I was going to say, but basically, yeah, it just really feels like it's just being there and being something that you're able to create for yourself. Mhm.
And I love what you said about making meaning out of your life. I'm sort of just paraphrasing. I have a follow-up question for you, Jasmine. Is it okay to make new meanings?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
especially, yeah, because that's another thing that, yeah, definitely is a part of it. It's never just one thing. You can always change your purpose. It's not really like you have one thing to do with your life. I kind of always thought, oh, you have to figure out your purpose and then that's it. But no.
I love that. I love that. Cool. Anybody else want to pop in? Oh, Trevor's here. Yay, Trevor. Trevor is late because I told him the wrong time. So it's totally my fault. So thank you for coming. Trevor, if you could do a quick intro. The intro is, where in the world are you now? What is your age? And then maybe share your favorite dessert, if you don't mind, so people know who you are.
My name is Trevor. I'm currently in Cusco, Peru. And favorite dessert? Ooh. Possibly my mom's cheesecake.
Ooh, that sounds like a great recommendation. Awesome. Is it really rich?
I don't know how to describe it. It's definitely rich. None of us like cheesecake unless my mom makes it, because hers is just that good.
That's amazing. Awesome. And do you want to take a stab at we started off with a really big question, and the question was, what is the meaning of life? So you're always so philosophical. I would love to hear what your thoughts are.
I think the meaning of life is largely dependent on what you want it to be. It's not defined by anyone else. The meaning of life is a personal thing.
Yeah.
I think for most people, the simplest way to put it would be to be happy, to be satisfied with where you're at and who you are and what you have, and to just enjoy being, to just enjoy existing. But it's always personal.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you, because I know I can push you a little bit, just a little bit. Where does joy come from?
Depends on who you are.
In your experience, where does your joy come from?
I think a lot of joy for me I get from pure solitude, like pure solitude, not sitting in my room alone, but I'm out in the mountains and I hiked ahead of my family and there is nobody else around for 10 miles. That is peace and joy to me.
I love that.
But of course, there's a bunch of other things that bring me joy. Like, but I think that is, for me, my purest joy.
I love that. I love that. Does anybody else want to chime in? Where does joy come from in your life, in your experience? Does anybody have any thoughts about that?
I think for me, it's funny because I think this is kind of almost the exact opposite of Trevor's experience. But I think that my type of joy comes from, I guess, being a leader, being part of the group, and being like, I guess, celebrated as an individual, but also as with other people at the same time. Like, I guess being an individual among a group is what makes me happy, I think.
I love that. And do you find that your power and strength comes from being in a group environment and being collective or collaborative?
I think that's an interpretation. I don't know. That's how I would like exactly say it, but yeah.
Then
For the
how
most
would
part.
you say it? How?
I guess I think that it comes from knowing that in however many people that are there to help me or that are there to like participate, right? I'm still myself and I can still be myself among other people
Yeah.
and be seen as an individual, I guess.
I love that. I love that. And that seems to me to be really important to you in this moment, right?
Right? Yeah.
I love that. I love that. All right, guys. Does anybody else want to chime in about where joy comes from? Because I do have another question. You know I'm going to ask you a couple more, right? You ready? Give me a thumbs up if you guys are ready. Yeah? All right. What is identity? Did I stump everybody? I know it's kind of a difficult one. This is a question I've thought about over all of the years that I've been on this planet. Many, many times in my life, I've switched and tried on new identities. Sometimes I've used my identification with the work I do. Sometimes I use my identification with a mood. Sometimes I use my identification with my name, my accomplishments, my gender, all of this stuff. But for me, it seems to be quite fluid because I've had and owned many identities throughout my life. So I'm wondering, what does identity mean to you? Yeah, go for it.
So again, identity is completely personal, and I think the difference now is that can partially be defined by other people. So, for instance, your identity can be partially defined by what your family members are like or the friends you hang out with. Like, those groups partially identify you, but of course, that's not the entire picture. Um, Another part of it is who you choose to be, um, what you like to do, who you are as a person, your emotional characteristics. It's all part of your identity. Um, Even your fashion choices, like, it's a means of expression of who you are, which is identity.
Super powerful and insightful. Thank you. Anybody else?
I guess I have thoughts. So identity is kind of, I guess here's the thing. We're all teenagers, right? That's the thing. So we're kind of all at a point in our lives where like identity is the big question, right? And I've like very specifically thought about it a lot recently, and I guess my takeaway is that I feel like a lot of people want to take one part of themselves and use it as their big, like, this is what I am, this is what I do, right? Okay, gender is a big one that people talk about a lot today, and I think that that's kind of missing the point. I think that your identity is all of your character traits, all of your personalities, all of what you were born with, all of what you weren't born with as one. And it's kind of, I guess, I feel like a lot of people have missed their own potential by picking one part of themselves to identify with and then just forgetting about the rest of it, and kind of don't recognize themselves afterward either, which I guess is what I've discovered about myself. Is that you kind of need to pay attention to the whole instead of just one or two parts.
That is an amazing amount of self-awareness. That's pretty powerful. And I think that's a beautiful answer. Thank you. Wow. Anybody else want to take a shot?
Still thinking,
Okay.
although I've answered this question before.
I know I've asked you this before. Would it be useful to consider that from the adolescent, the teen perspective, recognizing and acknowledging that you guys are wired to try on different identities? That's kind of what you're supposed to be doing in adolescence. So it's almost like there's permission there to, be a punk rocker and then okay. So you guys know how old I am, but when I was growing up, it was punk or goth or surfer or, identifying with these social groups. I don't know what they are now per se, but you can oscillate and try on all of these identities because you've got the freedom to do so. And that lights you up in terms of where you guys are in your developmental stages. Does that give any additional freedom to your answer? And Jackson, I saw that your hand was up. Go ahead, jump in, hon.
I was just gonna answer the individuality question that you proposed earlier, and sort of compiling and shortening. I don't have the fortitude verbally to say everything that Ava said, but I agreed completely with you. And I was going to say sort of like a compilation of all of the characteristics that could identify you, right? So age, gender, position of career, whatever, everything, all of those combined make you from like a statistical standpoint almost. It's not as philosophical as everyone else's answer though.
No, it's actually totally relevant. And from a statistical perspective, do you mean that like the points of identity, like your name, who your parents are, where in the world you came from, what your religion is, and all of these things that you were born into? Meaning
Yeah.
statistics?
So,
Okay.
sort of. It's like basically we all know there's only one of us in the world. There's no exact copy of us anywhere. So I would say that aside from the obvious being like DNA and from like a scientific standpoint, the things that make us individual in what we choose to do after we're born, rather than a pre-decided thing like DNA.
Okay. So like kind of going back to what I was saying, like when I was a teen, identifying with my social group was a big part of my identity as a teen. Is that what you mean?
That's part of it. Yeah, that's most of it.
Okay.
The rest of it is just everything else that you do outside of just your social group that makes you you.
So let me ask you this, Jackson. Is it possible to change your identity?
I would say that regardless of what you align with, you are still you. And so changing the contents of your identity is possible, and people do it all the time. I do it all the time, but changing your identity is not.
Awesome. Cool. Cool. Thank you. And I'm just poking around trying to get you guys to go deeper, because I think you guys have so much knowledge and so many insights that I want to hear. I'm curious about, and I hope that the parents or the adults that are watching also recognize how incredibly introspective you guys are and how wise you guys are. Does anybody else want to chime in also with this question about identity? Because I do have another question. Go ahead.
Well, I guess I can just quickly say, I mean, I'm pretty much just branching off of what like everyone kind of said, but I think there's social identity and there's, personal identity. And so I think you can totally change your social identity and, try to be perceived however you'd like to be. And then of course there's your personal identity, which is like, yeah, your all the other stuff.
Like what Jackson was saying about like your scientific DNA
Exactly,
and
yeah.
fingerprints, because those are pretty unique, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a lot to think about. How many identities do you think you might have in your lifetime? Anybody? Can you guess?
I'm not sure. I couldn't really think of a number or like a general, I don't know, timeline of me figuring out who I am or like what really is inside of me. But now that I'm growing up and I'm like, oh wow, I'm 18 years old, that was kind of crazy for me, but it didn't really feel like much. It wasn't really anything super serious, actually, that, like the whole world socially thinks that it's something really important, but I really don't think I don't think it really is. But now that I like think about it, when I was younger, I always kind of tried to cater to other people's perception of like a young girl. And so I've always thought like, oh well, I should just play along with that and just kind of assimilate with that type of environment that most people were familiar with, instead of really being able, sorry, I have like a really sore throat, so I'm sorry if my voice is like cutting out, but yeah, instead of actually being able to feel comfortable with being myself. So I think identity is something that you have to really grow into as well. It's something that is constantly changing, but also you're figuring out. It's like solid but not solid.
So if I'm hearing you right, and tell me if my paraphrasing is not spot on because I'm not always spot on. But are you saying that it takes confidence to step into the being of self? It takes the confidence?
Yeah, it most definitely does. And it takes, I don't know, some people just are able to have that confidence naturally, and some people just have to learn or adapt or, bring it out of themselves. That's what I'm kind of like learning with myself.
Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. Yeah, Trevor, pop in.
I think as for the number of identities I'll have in my life, it's in the thousands or tens of thousands. It can change for me multiple times in a day. I think that's part of the emotional roller coaster of being a teenager is you can feel like absolute crap in the afternoon, even if you had an incredible morning. And so your identity in the afternoon is going to be a depressed, lonely teen. Whereas in the morning, you could have been like on top of the world. I just got promoted at my job or something like that.
Yeah.
So when it can change multiple times per day, I would say it will be in the thousands for your lifetime.
I love that. I love that. I totally identify with that too. Speaking of identity, I totally relate to that. I think that's a great way of looking at it. Yeah. I think let's pop on over to Ava, and then Sophie, I want to circle back to you afterwards because you put into chat that there's one identity. So I want to hear your thoughts about that, especially after what Trevor said. But Ava, go ahead, take it away. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
So I think that okay, my previous statement that identity is kind of all of your character traits and physical traits and whatever traits combined, and people should focus on the whole instead of just one or two at a time. I think that your identity, you can have many, you can have one, you can have a handful, you can have all of them, because it kind of just depends on what you focus on yourself. Because if you only focus on one part at a time, or one part ever, you're just going to have one. If you're focused on all of them, then you can have multiple at the same time. It doesn't really, I guess, it's not a number because it's kind of different for everybody, depending on how they relate to themselves or how they relate to their identity.
So it's the relationship of who you are to other people as well. So that's a
Right.
component. Yeah.
Right.
I hadn't thought of that. That's great. That's amazing. And I think somebody mentioned earlier, I think it was Trevor. I think it may not be, but somebody said we are who we are according to how people perceive us. No, that wasn't you, Trevor. I think that was that. I think maybe it was Jackson. Was that you?
Might have been me. I've been so busy trying to digest everyone else's points that I've sort of lost my own, and it's already changed.
And isn't that what I said in the beginning? Sometimes just speaking our thoughts is such an important process to help us figure out what's happening in our internal worlds. And a lot of times adults don't ask us these kinds of questions, right?
Yeah.
Sophie, you said one. Do you want to talk about one?
Sorry, I just remembered I lied. Sorry. I have two. I feel like sometimes when I meet new people or people that I've met before, sometimes they look at me differently and they think I have a different personality, but really I don't. It's because with my close friends, I'm like the extrovert, adventure kind of person. And then when I meet new people, they think of me as like a calming person, bookworm, and just an introvert. So I guess you could say I have two, most likely.
So two is interesting. And I like that you're using a framework to help you identify or express one of your identities, which is that of an introvert, the framework. Sometimes I challenge the teens I work with to go look at horoscopes or to go look at archetypes, as determined by Jung, or go look at the enneagrams. There's all these different, or the Myers-Briggs, because when you look at other people's framework, whether it's true or not doesn't matter, but it gives you the opportunity to then go inward and check and see if that feels true. So is it true that you're an introvert?
No,
Okay.
I'm a person that won't shut up.
I know that about you too. Okay. But sometimes you try on the identity of an introvert, right? Or no? No?
What? Sorry.
It's okay. Jump on in, Ava, and Jackson. I totally acknowledge we're gonna jump on over to you too, because I want to get as much as I can from you before you have to take off.
So just like this isn't this is just like a comment, right? But I kind of wanted to point out that the difference between introvert and extrovert is kind of mostly like a social stamina kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
here's the thing, I'm very talkative. I like to talk. I talk all the time. You probably already could tell that, right? But I think I'm an introvert just because I don't have a lot of social stamina. Like, I like to talk a lot, and then when I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah.
So someone who's extroverted would seek that stuff out because it makes them more energetic. It makes them, well, they have fun.
That's
right?
exactly right. You
So
totally nailed the definition of introvert extrovert. Yeah, you're totally right. And you're totally right in recognizing that there can be social introverts as well. And that was a new one for me. I didn't know that until I had my son, who is just like you, a social introvert. Yeah. Trevor, what's up?
So you briefly mentioned that adults don't ask these questions like what is identity, or just ask us about our insights or our knowledge. And I completely agree with that. Like, there are a lot of things that we learn about relationships through our own experiences. There are thousands of ups and downs that we don't tell our parents just because we're not comfortable with them or don't feel that it's important. And then there's a lot of knowledge that we learn that we don't share just through those emotional roller coasters with the interactions that they don't see. And so I completely agree that this meeting is amazing because it's us getting to share what we know. And yeah, there is a ton that we don't share. And you're right, nobody bothers to ask.
Yeah. That has been my experience as well, especially because I work with teens and I ask, do you talk about this stuff in your home? That's the question that I ask quite often. And a lot of times, no. And so let me just put this to the panel of you guys, you experts. What is the biggest challenge about being a teen today? And that can go anywhere, right? Yeah, Trevor, why don't you finish your thought? Because this is kind of a follow-up. And then after Trevor, was your hand, did you want to finish that thought?
So, I'm going to answer your question. Okay. I think the biggest challenge is managing relationships. We're teenagers, we're not fully grown, our amygdalas are not developed, and so our emotions do fluctuate quite easily. And so keeping a relationship stable, even with our parents, like one thing they say could set you off because it just ticks you wrong and it hits a lot harder than someone who's in their 30s, 40s, 50s as a full grown adult.
Yeah.
It's going to hit us harder. And that just makes any relationship, whether it be friends, family, significant other, more difficult. And I feel like as you progress towards the 17, 18, 19, 20s, you start to be treated as an adult. And so those same expectations of emotional stability are expected of us when we can't manage them. And so handling the relationship as we're expected to do, we fail at it. And then we become a disappointment in that fashion. And it feels a little unfair.
Yeah, that was powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And I totally agree. Ava and Sophie, do you guys mind if we go to Jackson? Because he's got to take off. Do you mind if we go to him first and then we'll come back to you guys? I promise. Is that okay? Okay, thank you. Jackson, go ahead.
I didn't have a point prepared. I'm just happy to be here.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you were heard.
Thank
If
you for that.
to say no worries, no worries. Trevor, one of the things that you are so spot on is the ability to manage one's emotions in adolescence, in the teen years. But the other thing, I don't know if you know this, you've got in the teen years more pleasure receptors for dopamine than any time in your life. So you have an abundance of emotions that can visit you and cycle in and out in a matter of seconds. And the seeking for pleasure is what your brain is wired to do. I don't know if you knew that as well. So it makes the pleasurable moments more apt to, like seek out those kinds of pleasurable, oh God, somebody say it for me, pleasurable moments. Yeah. Does that ring true to you in your experience? Yeah.
Absolutely. Like the good moments with my parents, it makes sense that those are like treasured memories, those perfect family moments. And then a day later, it all comes crashing down. And yeah, that definitely rings true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ava, what did you want to add to this?
Sorry, what was the specific question again? Just wanna jot do you know what the specific question was? I have an answer. I just
Guys, what was my specific question?
I mean,
What's
I'm
the
not the one at fault here.
I'm gonna have to go now. Thank you all for having me.
It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm gonna just be really quick and say
Thanks
we're
so much,
having
Jackson.
a raffle at the end, and Jackson, you'll be in it. So we'll let
Thank
you know.
you. Great.
And
Bye, Jackson.
Thanks, Jackson. It's great to see you again.
All right,
All
bye,
right, well-
Jackson.
And the question, Ava, to I remember it now, was what was the biggest challenge that you're facing as a teen? Yeah.
So I think this I guess for me, I guess I feel like I guess I want to participate in social circles, and some of those okay, the internet, everything's available at everyone's fingertips at all times, right? And I feel like in order to get recognition for a lot of my opinions or what I have to say about stuff, or even like physical stuff that I've done, right? It feels like it's hard to get recognition from adults, right? For stuff that I do just because I'm a teenager, right? And I don't even necessarily blame anyone for having that thought because I'm less experienced in life, right? But I guess it's difficult for me to feel like I get credit for a lot of stuff that I do because, well, or at least a lot of the opinions that I have, because it's easy to think that they're influenced or that I don't really know or that something just because I'm younger than other people.
But do you not think that your thoughts and beliefs and dislikes and likes and preferences are valid? Like,
I mean, no.
you don't think they are?
No, I'm saying I think I do. I guess
Okay.
I'm just saying that it feels difficult to get recognized for stuff that I do because I'm younger, and also obviously there's other stuff, but I guess that's the thing that's on my mind a lot, right?
Yeah, and that's valid. And thank you for sharing that that's on your mind a lot, because I'm sure parents watching this need to hear that out of the voice from a teen, because this is the first time I met you, you're articulate, you have a sense of self, and you know who you are. And to me, that's powerful. I know many adults that don't have that skill. So
Right.
that's powerful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Okay, let's pop into Sophie, and then we'll go back to Trevor, and then anybody else who wants to jump in. I know we're coming close to the end, right?
I just wanted to try and add on to Ava's, if that would be okay.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
So, Ava, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you're saying it's because you are a teen, you are undervalued in the adult world, even though it's the internet where everything is equal. Sure, there's social media platforms where you can have like prestige, but a 10-year-old could be number one spot. And so just because you're a teen, it's extremely frustrating to be undervalued, especially on the internet where it's an equal ground. Is that
Right.
correct?
That's pretty much my thought process. I guess it just feels difficult. I mean, I guess I feel uncomfortable telling people my age because I'm worried that they'll automatically, like, you're saying this is kind of something that I do, which I guess this is maybe me projecting a little bit, but like I guess I feel like people are less likely to believe you. It doesn't have to be age, right? If someone thinks that a quality that you have is a negative, they'll stop caring about what you have to say, even if they don't act like it. Which is, I guess, more of a self-conscious issue than a specific challenge. I guess I find it harder to get attention for work that I do because of my age, which is, I guess, my point.
Yeah, and I hear you. And that is valid. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And Sophie, you're so patient. Your hands up. Go ahead.
I feel like the biggest challenge for me as a teen is growing up because I'm a person that doesn't like change and doesn't like to grow up and is an overthinker. And I just look into the future already, even though I'm not really that close. And I just worry about stuff because I like to stay as how I am. But then things just change. So like I worry about like jobs and, work, houses, having to pay for a lot of stuff. I just worry about that. Mostly.
And you know what? You're not alone. I work with so many teens, and from 16 to about 19 or 20, those are really, really powerful fears that come up because it does indicate change. And I think as parents, we need to be really cognizant of this is something that's processing inside of you because you are changing. You can't avoid that. And it's hard. And especially because the world's changing too, right? Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Garrett or Coy, did you guys want to jump in, or Jasmine? Did you guys?
I wanted to say that I relate, Sophie. I totally get it. That's how I feel. I think that's a really hard thing to deal with, even though now I'm like supposed to be considered grown up. And this was something that I was like fearing turning 18 years old. I'm like, I'm still in the process. It's like growing up, I realized this like a while ago that growing up isn't like spontaneous, or not spontaneous, just like magically happens right then and there. It takes time.
Yeah, it is
and it's a process. Yeah, it's not just like you think, oh, well, I'm grown up now. No, you just live in it and you just don't even think about it. That's really, I think, what it is. But I think there's so many layers to everything. Like, there's not just like one thing to be like, not thing to be a feeling. Yeah, one feeling of worry. It's very much like many different things. And that's why I also relate to like overthinking a lot, because I think there's just so much to think about nowadays. And there's so many things you want to try out in your life, and so many things you want to just maybe even feel like you want to, experience. Yeah.
And I think you guys are in such a transitory state. You're transitioning from childhood to adulthood, and there's this stage that we call adolescence. And and I think culture has already told us that it's supposed to be a chaotic time in our lives, that culturally, in my book, I wrote about all these teen myths that need to be dispelled, because I even heard from Ava, who was repeating the common childism belief where kids don't know, or teens don't know, because they don't have as much time as, on the planet as adults. And I think those are belief systems that we need to throw or flip on its head. I really, really think that they're dangerous and they don't support one another. And I think by you guys speaking up and using your voice and sharing how beautifully brilliant each one of you is, and having forums and opportunities like this to express yourself is really, really important. It can shift those belief systems. Jump in, you guys. Go ahead.
I think so. The reason why the common kidism, as you put it, where kids aren't as experienced because just they have had less time. I guess the reason why that bothers me so much is because it's true. Like, fundamentally, I have not been around as long as my parents or my parents' friends or people I have never met in my entire life, right? And I'm bound to have less knowledge or experience or whatever as adults, just because I haven't had as much experience.
Experience, yes, I totally agree with you, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but knowledge, not so much. Knowledge, you've got as much knowledge as any individual has, and it's valid.
Right. I guess that's segue too, right? I guess I wish that it was less. I wish it was less black and white in a lot of people's mind.
I hear you. Yeah, I totally agree.
So just to extend Ava's point, knowledge and experience are not one general bubble that you can group everything into. I can talk to someone about tech. I can talk to a 70-year-old about technology, and I can absolutely blow their knowledge out of the water. That just because I'm 16 does not mean I should be discredited for what I know.
I totally agree.
Many of my friends come to me for advice about their relationships or how to do something, and I can answer them or help them out instantly in situations that I know other people could not, even adults. And yeah, there are many things that adults will know better than me. I don't know how to change a diaper, but that doesn't mean that my knowledge is or should be discredited just because of my age.
I totally agree. I totally agree. That was brilliant. I think we're running out of time. Do we need to wrap this or?
Yeah, I mean, unless we definitely have, you know, some other, further, someone wants to speak up, if they have any more comment to say to relate to the questions or anything that was asked tonight, or if Lainey, you did want to do a wind down, or if you just want to have us kind of segue out.
I just want to make sure that Garrett and Coy have a chance to chime in if they want to. I just don't want to end it before they have an opportunity because we've heard from almost, well, from everybody, but just want to make sure that they have an opportunity. Coy, did you want to chime in?
Well, I just wanted to say to Ava that you know, this may like sound stupid or whatever, and like you guys might like roll your eyes, but like most people kind of suck, and like you're as long as you're happy and you know and you're proud of yourself, and you know, because of like how young you are, how young we all are, it's like it's hard to be proud of yourself and all of that, but I do think that I think you're a really cool person, Ava, and I think like what you think of yourself is the most important thing, as cheesy as that sounds. And also there's people out there who will listen and who do care, and you can find those people. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Garrett,
I think. Are we? Sorry.
oh, I'm sorry. Please
Oh,
continue. No,
uh,
respond.
Yeah, I think that you're totally right. I think that it's kind of just the audience, and I know that there's people like it's not ambiguous. I guess. I just people suck. I guess is my period. Mute.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough, right? Garrett, did you want to jump in?
No.
Okay. It's a perfectly good answer too. Yeah. Judy, go ahead. I'll hand over the floor to you.
Well, I just wanted to thank everyone here. I know some of you, and I've just met you tonight, and we're so honored and thrilled to have all of you. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. There might be just a few questions from some of the adult participants up above, if we could do that. But one thing I wanted to say, as a like springboard from what you said, Ava, because there's like experience and there's knowledge. Yet what I've heard from everyone this evening is wisdom. And wisdom is a really powerful attribute that you've all expressed. And it comes in different ways and fashions, and it warms your heart and it elevates the whole experience. So I want to thank all of you for the wisdom that you brought us tonight.
I agree. Yeah. Wise panel. Really wise. Yeah.
Are there any questions, Beverly or Betsy or Nancy or Leon or Deb?
I always like to ask kids, you know, what are you most proud of? That, you know, something that you've been most proud of in the last 2 years since COVID, because that helps build confidence and everything. I don't know if we have the time for that, but I just thought that would be nice for the kids to reflect on.
Trevor's jumping right in. Go for it, Trevor.
I think as someone who constantly travels, like we typically change countries every month to every 3 months. I think the thing I would be most proud of is probably worldly knowledge and experience. So seeing other cultures, seeing how other people live, not being judgmental of that is another big part of it, but just experiencing the world and more than just the social bubble that you're born into is something that I don't think if I could go back 4 years and change my path, I wouldn't.
Hi. Hey. Real quickly, I'm so encouraged by all of you young people, and I just want to continue to encourage you. And one of the messages I give to parents is as a minister and as a teacher of youth for many, many years, I always give them the homework of listening to Pink Floyd's Brick in the Wall. And I encourage them to leave these kids alone. And I just want to encourage you all, because when you look back throughout the history of our country, it was the young people who initiated enormous change. And so I want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. And I'm going to encourage the parents as much as I can to leave these kids alone. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Leon.
That'll be our theme song for the team panel. Definitely. Ava, did you still want to say something?
Yeah, so I guess on the topic of something that I'm proud of for myself, right? I think I guess so. I think that I'm proud of. I think I'm proud of myself, like as a person. Like I'm proud of the person who I have become. I'm proud of how. I guess I'm just proud of how I'm able to interact with other people and how other people are able to interact with me as a person. And this kind of circles back to the identity and the challenge questions, right? Where I guess I try to be my own person and I try to be well spoken and I try to be, I guess, mature. I guess I try to be better, not like as a general statement, and I think that I've succeeded at that, at the very least in general. So I guess that's what I'm proud of.
That's great, Ava. So I think we're gonna wrap this up, but I want to say that what I think is so amazing, even though we're virtual, is that I could see that when there's something that resonates and you're able to be like, wait, I can connect with what that person's saying, and I didn't know someone else might be thinking that, and I think that that's what's so important about this, and that's really great. And I think it's just it made me think about, you know, the wisdom that you have for us to really be listening to. So I really appreciate that you all came on the panel. I wanted to say before we do the raffle is that I put in the chat, and I'll put it in again. Lainey actually does these virtual meetups once a week. If you want to join, I'm going to put it in the, I put it at the top before. I'm going to put it in again.
Yes, you guys, come, please.
Yeah. And so and Lainey has this great book about for seeing, heard, and understood. Again, what we're trying to talk about tonight is being understood and heard. And then she also does, you can learn more about her world project and going around the world and taking teens and really having them exposed to a different lifestyles and seeing the world. So we now, and Lainey, you could go ahead and if you want to just say any last words.
No, it's just been such a pleasure spending time with everybody tonight. And I think you guys are all so brilliant. There is so much, as you say, wisdom from inside of each one of you. And I'm just so honored to be able to experience that. So thank you. Hey, there's my book.
It's
I've
so
been trying to
beautiful.
bring it up,
Oh,
Lainey. Yes.
And that's Lainey's artwork. And Lainey presently lives down in Mexico, and her art is behind her also on the wall, so you could see she has a lot of different talents. And Betsy, did you have something quick to say?
I saw Lainey at this conference in Mexico in Morelia.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I got her book, and Lainey, I gave it to one of my moms, and she's really enjoying the book.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm so glad.
she's really
It's
enjoying.
written for parents, and it really talks about how to be in partnership with teens. And that's really hard for a lot of parents who approach parenting from authoritarian paradigm where their children only should be heard when they're spoken to. And it's, we inherit these belief systems from our culture, and childism is part of it. So is authoritarian parenting. And so is the belief that there's nothing to learn from our children. And I'm on a mission to change that. I am on a mission to convert that way of thinking among any parent that you can be in partnership, that there's so much wisdom in our youth. This is the anniversary edition, which is a little bigger and it has a few more tools. But when my book was a year old, I put out the hard copy, the anniversary edition. But they're both available, and right now it's trending. It's #1 on Amazon.
Wonderful.
Wow.
Over a year, and it's this month it's suddenly peaked. So I don't know.
Congratulations, Lainey, and thank you for this
Perfect.
evening.
So I want to thank everybody for coming. This was just the most enjoyable time. You guys have been great, participating, and we're learning so much from you. And I hope we can get you back here again on behalf of WOW.
And from WOW Learning Labs to you, from our bottom of our hearts with Beverly and Deb and myself and Penelope on the teen team, and our dear friend and now wonderful moderator, Lainey, we thank you so very much.
Yes.
Awesome. And thank you to all the teens that are here, and especially the ones that came in a moment's notice. So yeah, I'm really grateful for all of you just to say yes. Yes, I'll do it. That's powerful.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Okay, Trevor.
Thanks
Bye,
all
guys.
the teams.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.